Hello, everybody. I know that you've gotten an email today that could be a little bit frightening, and it should be. I'm going to pull up a draft of it. This was created before the one that we sent up today. So hold on one second while I share my screen. This is a version of the email you got today. It's not the final version. It might not look exactly the same, but let me just recap for you what's going on. Your access to botulinum toxin is being seriously threatened by Medicare. Here is what they are proposing. The interval between injections shall be no less than 12 weeks. The injection sites shall be limited to 3 specifically designated sites, and the maximum number of units per eye will be no more than 5 units. So if you're on Medicare, even if you aren't yet on Medicare, you will be someday. If you're on Medicare, you need to help us fight this. This is a very real threat, and we need your help to defeat this proposal. We have two approaches to defeating this: responding to Medicare and appealing to your legislators. And I'm going to explain the contents of the email that you got today so that this isn't so scary and doesn't look so daunting and confusing. A couple of definitions that you need to have before we get started is Medicare has divided the country into different geographical regions, and each region is overseen by a Medicare administrative contractor, or a MAC, or in plural, MACs. MACs covering approximately 75% of the United States have come together to issue a local coverage determination proposal. This is that proposal up top about the weeks, sites, and number of units that we talked about. Now, we need you to respond to this, not just you, your spouse, a friend or a family member who has familiarity with your journey with blepharospasm. Even if you, as I said, are not 65 yet, you will be someday, so you need to respond. This does not cover every state yet, but even if it doesn't cover your state, you need to respond, because if this passes for 75% of the United States, can the other 25% be far behind? So here's how we fight it. Part one, we respond to Medicare. Fortunately, these LCDs cannot just be passed out of hand by the MACs. They have to go through a process. One of the processes is to give people a chance to respond to the LCD. If you go to the LCD, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, you will see a place for submitting a public comment, okay? And again, every blepharospasm patient needs to respond. Their spouses, friends, and family who are familiar with their journey as well. Bottom line, we need to dazzle them with numbers, all right? So first thing you need to do is realize that we've created a template for your response. Here it is. These are the instructions for how to fill out the template, and I'm just going to do those verbally for you. This is the actual template for the response. The first thing you need to do is copy and paste this into your own document. All right. So I'm going to, for those, a lot of you already know how to do this and are very computer savvy. Please bear with me for about 30 or 40 seconds while I explain to those who may not be as tech savvy as you how to copy and space or paste. Now, on your mouse, if you can see my hand holding the mouse up, there are actually two buttons. The left button is controlled by your index finger. The right button is controlled by your middle finger, and they have very different functions. So I'm going to show you how to copy and paste this particular sample response into a blank document. Now, when I switch over to the blank document, I'm going to have to stop share briefly because Zoom does not allow you to go from one document to another. So I'll have to do that. Okay, so we're going to go to the top of the part we want to copy, which is where it says thank you. The way to copy this entire document in one swing is to press down on the left side, the index finger button, and hold it down. Let's go. Hold on. hold it down all the way to the bottom of what you want to copy. Okay. And then somewhere during, that's called highlighting a document, which is weird since it's actually darker. But anyway, somewhere in that gray area, right click with your middle finger, and it'll give you the option to copy. Okay, so now I'm going to stop share for a second while I do a different screen share with a blank document. So this is where we're going to put the LCD response. So I just go up to the top and I right click with my middle finger. Here we go. And then I go down to the under paste. I pick the first one. You can see it popped up, and I left click with my index finger. And there it is on a new sheet of paper. Okay. Now, the most important part of this is the red part, where you tell your story. Now, we need you to tell your story in 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph is going to be your history with blepharospasm, and we're especially interested in your evolution through the number of sites you've been getting injections, the frequency with which you've been getting them, and the number of doses that you get as you worked up to find the perfect number of sites, number of units, and frequency of injections. And then the second paragraph is for you to describe what you think your life would be like if you had to go down to 5 units per injection cycle. And if you're the spouse, friend, or family member of the person with blepharospasm, tell those same 2 stories from your perspective, from having watched your partner go through this or family member go through this, what you think both of your lives will be like if this is enacted into policy. Okay. Once you have finished telling that story, what you want to do is you want to make it black, the text black, just like the rest of the text. So again, you're going to highlight. Let's pretend this red part is my story. You're going to highlight. Well, first you're going to take away the parentheses of your story, if they're still there by the time you get to this point. And then you're going to highlight by holding down that left key with your index finger and going all the way to the end of what you want to change. And then up here, where you see the A with an underline it, where it's red right now, you want to change it to what's called automatic. See how that changes it to black. Okay. Now, if this is still bolded, which this is the bold button right here, you may want to leave it like that, because since this is the most important part of the communication, you want it to pop, because you're going to be getting a lot of these communications with the same first paragraph. So you want your story to pop. If it's not bolded, all you have to do is highlight it and hit this bold button. Okay. You want to do the same thing for your name and address. Okay. So we're going to go up here and we're going to do automatic, and then that's all black. Of course, you've changed it to your name and your address at this point, and that's how you use that document. Now, I'm going to stop share for a moment, and we're going to look at the email again, the email that we sent out earlier. It says here what you need to do is you need to go, this is a link to all of the LCDs. Every geographic region has written a slightly different LCD, although they all basically say the same thing. You need to find the one that's associated with where you live. And if your state is not included, you need to find a state that's close to you so that you can comment on that. So you need to click on this link. However, in order to click on this link, you can't just click on it. It doesn't really do anything. But if you go here, you can see right up above it, it says control plus click equals follow link. So I'm going to hit the control button. That's the very bottom left-hand button on your keyboard. I'm going to hit that and watch what happens. See, this line is an arrow, and then when it's over text, it's straight up and down. And then if I hit control, it becomes a hand that can click on something. So I'm going to click on that. And it's going to take me to, again, I have to stop share to get this. And then I need to share. This is what it takes you to. Sorry, Zoom won't let you go from document to document, so I have to keep stopping. This is a geographic breakdown of the MACs who have made this proposal for their blepharospasm patients. You'll see it does not include all 50 states, but it does include some fairly large states like New York, Massachusetts, California. Down here, we've got some pretty big states. Also, Indiana, Michigan are pretty big states. Illinois up here, Wisconsin, Minnesota are pretty big states. So what you need to go here is this is the name of your MAC. These are the states they cover, and these are the links to their LCDs. Let's say we're going to do Minnesota. Okay, so I would click on this. This is what it brings you to. This is an LCD. Now, the first thing you have to do is there's a screen that might come up here that says I accept. Okay. Once you hit the I accept, you can go up here and just X out of this, but be aware there's a screen before this one. Just X out of that. And then this is underlying. Okay. This is where you can submit your public comment. Okay, so I'm going to say this. This went to my personal email. It may go to your personal email. It may just give you a little email in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen for you to put your comments in. Whatever happens, do not change these two things, to whom it's addressed and what the subject line is. Okay, and I am going to pick up my sample response to the LCD, and I'm going to copy and paste it, just like I showed you how to copy and paste before. Okay, here we are in the email where we want to put our email response. So I copied and pasted it from the other side, or I copied it. Now I'm just going to paste it by clicking there, and there's my response. Okay. And then when you are satisfied that everything looks like you want it, just hit send. I'm not going to hit send because this isn't an actual response, but I'm going to hit stop share. Okay. If at any time something is confusing, please just hit pause and rewind, and it should. And I'm sorry for the having to switch between screens. We tried not doing that, and it would not pick up the subsequent screens. So Zoom wouldn't pick up the subsequent screens. So now that is part one of our response. Now, if we go back to is this it? No, this one. Our email. The second part of is how we fight it is to appeal to your legislators. Now you have three legislators in Washington. You have a congressperson and you have two senators. We want to send a communication to all three of them. Okay. Now, all senators and representatives are required to have a website. So if you enter your senator or a congressperson's name, it should take you straight to their website, which will have their email address and their mailing address. So you can copy and paste. Look at this great sample letter we wrote. And again, there's a chance for you to put in your story. You can put in the exact same story you did for the LCD response. And then you sign it and put your address so that they know you're in their district, if they're your congressman especially. Okay, so you want to do this for all three of your legislators in Washington. Okay, if you have trouble finding out who your representative is, give us a call. We'll help you find that information. Now you can email it, but I'm going to tell you, I think it's more difficult to overlook a stack of papers. I even wrote that into the email, than to ignore emails. So consider, instead of emailing them, sending them a letter fairly quickly for this endeavor, because many of your Congress people will reach out to the central Medicare system, which is CMS, and will say, hey, we can't let this happen. So write to your senators and your congressperson as soon as possible. One thing I left out is the deadline for responding to the LCDs is July 13th. So do that sooner rather than later. Okay? If you have any questions or any problems, do not hesitate to reach out to the BEBRF office. We're here to help you, but I'm hopeful that this is enough help, because what I'm hopeful also is that we have thousands of people sending in responses to the LCD and writing to their congressional legislatures. Okay? If you, again, please do this. The future of your treatment depends on it. All right. So I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope this illuminated a little bit how to uh, to send these responses off to the appropriate parties. Thank you so much, and please respond to these causes. It's for your own benefit. Goodbye.